They say one look could turn you to stone. A monstrous woman with writhing snakes for hair, cursed by the gods, feared by all. But what if Medusa wasn't the villainous monster who deserved to be slain by the hero after all? Maybe she was just another victim of all-powerful gods who treated humanity with no more significance than a plaything for their own sick amusements. We think we know her, one of Greek mythology's most terrifying creatures, a Gorgon, a killer, a horror. But peel back the layers of legend and you'll find something far more complex, a tale of power, punishment, and the greatest injustice in all of the Greek legends. Welcome to the Vortex, where mythology, lore, and history collide. Before we journey back to ancient origins, please do consider subscribing and giving us a like. We've got plenty more to come. As with many stories, myths, and legends, the details vary over time, written and rewritten over the centuries. So let's get back to how all of this started. Medusa wasn't always a monster. According to the original versions, she was the youngest of 3 daughters to her parents, Perseus and Cetu. Her older sisters were Gorgon monsters of the seas, like their parents, but Medusa was fortunate enough to escape those terrible genes. She was born a mortal, a beautiful mortal, with hair so stunning that the gods commented favourably on her looks. She left her monstrous family to become a priestess of Athena, sworn to purity, just like the virgin goddess she served. Unfortunately, no amount of devotion could save her when she caught the sea god Poseidon's eye. And if you know anything about the Greek gods, then you know that none of them bothered to ask for consent to take what they wanted, especially not if what they desired was a renowned beauty. But unlike the other weak-willed mortal women, Medusa would not be enchanted into a god's bed. She stayed true to her vows and denied his advances. Poseidon did not take kindly at all to the rejection. Instead, he hunted Medusa anyway, with the intention of taking what he wanted, regardless of her wishes. Medusa fled to the temple of Athena, her sanctuary, and a place where all violence, bloodshed, and wrath was forbidden. Poseidon had never heeded anyone, so why should his own sister's temple be any different? He took Medusa, for want of a better word, right there, inside the confines of the temple. When Athena found out that her palace of purity had been defiled, she did not take her wrath out on the true monster, her own predatory brother. Instead, she turned her fury on poor Medusa, turning her from a mortal beauty into the 3rd and final Gorgon sister, the most feared and hideous of them all. Her glorious crown of hair was transformed into a writhing head of serpents, her eyes an unwanted sight that turned men into stone if they dared look directly at her. And to seal the deal, Medusa was banished to the land of the Gorgons, a shadowy place separated from the physical realm, to reside alongside her 2 monstrous sisters. Never again would anyone be able to look at Medusa's beautiful face and live to tell the tale. Athena would defend her wrongful punishment of the victim, by claiming that she would spare her once most devoted follower the pain of ever having to even look at a man again. After all, if Medusa was truly so beautiful that even the highest order of God couldn't resist her, then how could a planet full of weak mortal men resist subjecting her to an even worse attack? Sadly, Medusa's life of suffering was not yet done, and Athena's disregard for her life had just begun. Many years passed until a hero, Perseus, started his journey. Perseus wasn't just any hero. He was Zeus's son, and the product of Zeus's fleeting infatuation with another mortal woman, who could also be argued was not fully aware of the fact that the lustful god had impregnated her. But that's a story for another day. Perseus was sent to the land of the Gorgons to fetch a mortal king Medusa's head. The king, Polydectes, hoped that this attempt would end in Perseus's death. But Polydectes didn't count on just how close Perseus was to his aunt, the one and only Athena. She lent him her shield to cover his eyes and advised him to attack when Medusa slept. Perseus walked onto an island filled with petrified statues of other would-be heroes who'd attempted to visit the island. On his aunt's advice, Perseus beheaded a sleeping Medusa, again when she wasn't capable of defending herself. You'd think that the story ends here, but no. All these years, Medusa had been pregnant from the god who had assaulted her. From the gaping hole where her head had once rested came forth Poseidon's sons, the winged horse Pegasus, and the giant warrior Chrysaor. Pegasus would be the companion of the gods and heroes, often taking them to their most epic battles, whereas Chrysaor would continue the line of horror beasts with his three-headed children. The Greek tellings imply that the angelic Pegasus received all the majesty from his father's side, and that Chrysaor inherited his beastly mother's Gorgon line. But we beg to differ. Chrysaor was rather the embodiment of his father's internal sickness, a beast that revelled in bloodshed and war. And Pegasus was as breathtaking as Medusa was before the gods had destroyed her, and he was forced to live a life serving the gods that used him like nothing more than a draft animal for their own needs. Upon knowledge of Medusa's death, the Gorgons of the land flew into a rage, hell-bent on wiping Perseus from the face of the earth for what he and the gods had done to their sister. They and Medusa's lives were nothing but a pawn for the gods to toy with again and again. Maddeningly, the Gorgons would not be avenged. Perseus got away, thanks to the winged sandals gifted to him by his god uncles. As he flew over what is today Syria, Medusa's severed head dripped blood on the ground below. Making contact with the sands of the landscape below, those drops turned into living snakes, and so the story goes that this explains Syria's snake population to this very day. Even though she was initially associated with terror due to her venomous dome and her petrifying gaze, even the common Greeks started to recognize the incredibly unjust treatment of Medusa. Her effigy was carved onto shields, believed to ward off evil spirits. and throughout the centuries to come, the symbolic shift soared on. A small penance to the suffering that this woman endured, simply because she happened to be physically blessed with a striking face and luscious locks. As time went on, in art, in culture, in literature, she began to appear as a symbol of the feminine struggle, giving her a voice she never had in classical mythology. Medusa, who once was a victim, is now regarded as a warrior in the face of divine cruelty, and with this, often a symbol of injustices to women. These evolutions challenge the traditional narratives, prompting a reflection on how society perceives and treats women who defy convention. Yet, despite the true tale behind the unfortunate fate bestowed upon this woman by spiteful gods, pop culture can't seem to completely move away from using the fearsome Gorgon visage for cinematic effect. Sadly, the horrific idea of serpents in place of hair and a death stare that can turn a man into stone will always, at least to some extent, overshadow the tragic origins and deep symbolism that her story carries. Yet, her story continues to grow, increasing in depth and richness, moulding to reflect the current zeitgeist, serving as a mirror to society's ever-changing values and norms. Each reinterpretation, each artistic representation, whatever the angle, adds layers to her legend, allowing her to transcend the role of a mere monster in mythology. Medusa's enduring presence in cultural discourse highlights her impact as a symbol that challenges our perceptions of villainy and virtue. As we conclude our journey through the myth of Medusa, we're reminded of the power of storytelling. Her tale, rich with symbolism and transformation, encourages us to question not just the myths themselves, but also the contexts in which they were told and retold. In doing so, they reflect our own inner worlds, our attitudes, beliefs, and inner dialogues. Could this not be one of mythology's most powerful roles? Medusa, once a symbol of danger and death, now stands as a beacon of deeper truths about power, victimization, and redemption. So, what do you think about Medusa? Is she the monster that Greek mythology initially portrayed? Or is she part of the reason that the Greeks gave up their vengeful, cruel gods in exchange for religions that came with mercy and love, were more powerful beings, did not make sport of humans for their own sick entertainments? Let's continue this discussion in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into mythology. Share this video with those who love to challenge their perceptions and uncover the truths hidden within ancient stories.